Hey, welcome to the Purpose Podcast program. I'm Michael King, right here with Chris Kelly. He's the guy, y'all. He's going to do the thing here. I'm going to step out, and I'm going to let him handle this, but we have a beautiful guest. Man, I'm looking at her, lips is sparkling, and man, she's looking so good. And guess what, man? I heard she know magic, man.
I think she does.
Yeah, she
I think she
cast a spell. I don't know. No, she does a lot of things, you know.
Yes, indeed.
You know, you talk about the Renaissance man. She's the Renaissance woman. And I'm going to let you take over here and talk about some of the things that she's doing and going to be doing. And we're going to go from there. We got a good show today, folks. So stay tuned right here on the podcast. We're going to be back. We're going to go to commercial break. We're going to be right back after this.
Some say e-cigarettes aren't dangerous,
but science shows nicotine can harm teens' developing brains.
no matter how they're exposed.
Let's do an experiment to find out.
Here's a teen who won't be using e-cigarettes.
Now we need one willing to risk their brain development.
Anyone care to volunteer your kid?
Anyone?
I'm Dr. Vivek Murthy, U.S. Surgeon General. Your kids are not an experiment. Protect them from e-cigarettes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Chris Kelly. I am the host for the Purpose Podcast. The voice you just heard was the director of CCG TV, Mr. Michael King. But today, as he already said, we have a very special guest, someone that I have known for quite some time, probably 8, 9, maybe even 10 years. And she has always been fabulous. And I want to make this proper introduction. Her name is Tabitha Lawhorn.
Yes.
As Mike said, not Longhorn Steakhouse, but Lawhorn. All right. But hey, look, Tab, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for making the connection. Like I said, I've known you for a long time, various venues, entertainment, and things of that nature. But we're going to go all the way back to the very beginning of where it all started for you. Can you let the audience, I know you have a big following, and we're going to get into all of that, but those who do not know you, can you make an introduction of who you are, where it began, what put you on this path that you're on today? Talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name, of course, Tabitha Lawhorn, and I am the owner of a very trending cosmetics line, which is Tab's Cosmetics.
Okay.
I specialize in glitter lipsticks.
Okay.
Yes, the quality is amazing, smudge-proof. I've sold in 19 different states and counting.
Wow.
I travel all over, set up at different events in different malls in different states and cities. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, what was the interest? How did you get started in the glitter lipstick? Like, what was that about? Were you the child that loved to play in your mother's makeup and in the vanity mirror and all of that? Tell me about that.
I mean, she didn't know that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was that child that went in my mom's makeup bag and sneaking on lipstick before I went to school.
Okay.
I tell everybody that.
Yeah.
But I do have a cosmetology background.
Okay.
I love everything under the cosmetology umbrella. So just doing hair and makeup and, you know, all fashion, anything like that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So
Yeah.
that's where it all began, and that's where I started.
Okay. Now, was it difficult to grow that particular? I know you can't go hardly anywhere and without seeing lipstick of some sort, somebody's brand somewhere. You can go into Publix, they sell it there. You can go into the convenience store, I'm sure it's sold there. What made you want to start selling that, and how have you been able to grow that business?
Well, I guess a little bit of the backstory. I haven't always been as confident as I am today.
Yeah, we're here for the backstory. So
Y'all want a little something?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me break off a little something.
Okay.
So I haven't always been as confident. You know, I used to be just a little, I guess I'm afraid of being myself, insecure. Of just being myself.
Yeah.
You know, I was always concerned of people's perception of me, and I thought I had to live up to other people's standards. You know, even I grew up in the church.
Okay, yeah.
Hallelujah.
Me too, yeah.
I grew up in the church, yes.
Let the church
Baptist.
say, yeah.
Let them say what now?
Amen. Let me see if I got some
Okay.
church. I don't got no church music. Go ahead.
Okay. But, and you know, I always knew I was different. And I always knew that I wanted to stand out, but I didn't know how to do that without feeling judged.
Yeah.
And so just, you know, throughout school, I was in a box, but I found myself being so miserable, so unhappy.
Wow.
And so over the years, you know, it was just a weight on my shoulders. And I finally broke out of that, you know what I'm saying? And it was the best decision I ever made. And so that's basically what Tabs Cosmetics stands for, and my brand.
Okay.
You know, the lipsticks, I have all different colors, shining, sparkling, standing out, popping, and that's who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're walking in a new level of confidence, and you want to encourage other young ladies to do the same.
Absolutely.
Was that in high school that you found that moment where you said, you know what, it is time for Tab to be Tab, and I'm going to express myself this way? Or was it a life-changing experience after high school? Was it college? When was that moment where you decided to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna sprout my wings and I'm gonna fly?
I dibbled and dabbled a little bit in high school, but it definitely was in college.
Okay.
Definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
Definitely in college. You know, a lot of us when we go to college, it's that moment where we're away. I grew up in church as well. I was very strict in that sense. You know, I was the first one there. My dad is opening the church and he's closing it. He's a pastor. So I understood the whole, you know, PK adage where, you know, people feel like as a PK, you're waiting to go crazy. And that's, you know, I was already kind of that guy in high school, very popular and whatnot. So I was already kind of doing my own thing. But once I went to college, I began to kind of grow up. But really, you know, they say that for a man doesn't fully mature or really begin to come into his own.
Amen.
Until his
Amen to God.
He's speaking from some experience, but in his 30s, and he doesn't really hit his financial stride until his 40s. So we know that men, by and large, develop and mature slower, or at a slower rate, I should say, than most women do. So you're saying that was in college. Did you start Tabs Cosmetics then? Did you start to explore with makeup and doing people's makeup? Do you do some of that or what?
I did. I was actually a makeup artist.
Okay.
Through college, I worked at a makeup booth. It was very popular out in the mall.
Okay.
Shout out to Color Me Beautiful. I used to do the faces up out there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I loved it.
Nice.
But
I like that.
you know, life happens, and
Right.
you know, we take different twists and turns, and
Right.
you know, I
Right.
did work in corporate for a while.
Okay. How was that experience with you working in corporate America?
It was a paycheck. I wasn't passionate about it.
Okay, so it was constricting.
Yes.
Got you.
It's way too constricting for
Got
me.
you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with having working in corporate.
Right.
And I do have a background that I can always fall back on if I need to. But I'm going after my passion because it keeps me happy. And
Right. So let me ask you this. You have people who say, well, this new generation of thinkers, these podcasters, right? They call us the podcast generation. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has a cell phone. Everybody wants to be an influencer of some sort. But I don't see anything wrong with chasing your passion. As long as your passion, it pays some bills, okay?
Yes.
And affords you the lifestyle for happiness. And what I mean by that is I had jobs where I made a ton of money, but I had no time. I had absolutely no time to enjoy it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was a paycheck. Now, it was a good paycheck.
Right.
Another thing that it gave me was a nice title. Okay. So therefore, in certain circles, that was impressive. Oh, you do this? Wow,
Yes.
that is nice. But I hated it. So in your line of work, have you ran into those that have tried to discourage you from doing what you're doing? I know you're coming from a religious background. What has been your biggest obstacle in growing in this space, not just monetarily, but in this passion and keeping your focus to drive it forward?
Oh, yes. I've had people ask me, because I worked for a very large company,
Okay.
a very large insurance company. And people ask me, why am I not still there? Why did I leave that? Why won't I go back? But like you said, for me, it's all about being happiness and being at peace.
Okay.
I don't have time. Yes, it paid well.
Right.
But I'd rather do something, along the lines of what I'm passionate about.
Right.
And so, other than monetarily, I guess I would have to say it opened up doors for me to speak.
Wow.
Do public speaking.
Okay.
And also mentoring to young girls.
Yes. That's a great segue, because I was going to ask you about that, because I've been following you for a while, and I've seen you in classroom settings. I've seen you in places where there's a younger demographic sitting around listening to your story.
Yes.
How has that experience been? Is that nerve-wracking dealing with young people? Do you find it hard to reach them, or has it been easy due to your line of work?
Actually, it has been very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just adapt to me so well. They
Yeah.
love me, like all ages.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken from kindergarten all the way up through seniors.
Wow.
And I absolutely love it.
Wow. Now, when you go into this, are you talking about Tab's Cosmetics? Are you talking about your entrepreneurship? What exactly are those discussions about?
All of the above.
Okay.
Tab's Cosmetics.
Okay.
Being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Chasing your dreams. Self-love.
Yeah.
Being you.
Yeah.
Exactly who you are, not
Yeah.
afraid to be.
Yeah.
I try to instill that into young girls and even women. I speak at events as well.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm all over with it.
Well, I love what you just said about self-love, because one of the things that I'll always teach and preach whenever I have the opportunity to go into schools, which I spend a lot of time in middle and high schools around Columbus and beyond, I start with appreciating the reflection you see every day in the mirror.
Absolutely.
You've
yes.
got to start with self-love. We can talk about poverty reduction rates. We can talk about crime prevention. There's a lot of that the epicenter, the genesis of those issues is self-love, because you have people who are rich, but they are also poor in self-love.
Yep.
They are rich monetarily, rich materially, but they hate themselves.
Say that one more time for the people.
They are.
One more time.
Can I preach just a little bit?
Hallelujah. Amen.
You know what I'm saying? They are rich in all of the things that we deem as a society are necessary to be successful. Oh wow, we look at them, they have a nice car, beautiful home, beautiful spouse, etc. But they hate the person that they see every day that they take with them. One of the things that my dad told me, he said, Chris, wherever you go, you take you with you.
I agree.
So you can blame this one, you can blame that one. But if you're the problem, wherever you go, they can drop you in Seattle, Washington. They can knock you down to Miami, Florida. They can take you to Chicago, Illinois. If you're an issue, you're going to be an issue in all three locations.
Absolutely.
So you've got to start by looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm going to change me. And I take that message with me no matter where I go. And when you see children who have never heard that they are beautiful, that they are organic,
right.
that they are talented, that they are gifted, when they hear that message, especially from those that look like them,
Yes.
when somebody is coming in like yourself into that class saying, hey, you're beautiful, you can do this. There's other ways to make money, to appreciate yourself, and to have a good life outside of just entertainment
Yes.
and athletics,
Absolutely.
which is a form oftentimes of entertainment. So I love that you mentioned the mentorship. How often do you see yourself doing that? Is that something that you try to incorporate into your schedule every month? How often do you get those opportunities?
I try to incorporate it every month. I do
Okay.
want to expand it this summer.
Okay.
I'm actually working on some things behind the scenes.
Okay.
Different programs
Yeah.
and coaching programs, things of that nature that
Yeah.
I do plan on releasing
Okay.
this summer. So.
Now, I have 2 points of interest that I want to focus on, and I know that, again, thank you so much. We have Tab Lawhorn here in the studio. I like to call this Studio A. TNT has Studio J, so I just made up Studio A because it sounds pretty good. But we are right here at CCG TV in Columbus, Georgia. I want to focus on two things about entrepreneurship. When you were speaking and you've launched this, you have built this thing from the ground up.
Yes.
Because I met you, I think you were probably still working in corporate America when I met you years ago, like I said, 8, 9, 10 years ago. What message can you give young people who are seeking to start their own business, chasing their passion? Can you give them, and I get it, the easy fluff message is, hey, just follow your dream. But if your dream is not practical, you've had to make the dream practical. How did you do that? What message can you offer to the entrepreneurs coming behind us?
I would definitely say for the young people, just to start early.
Okay.
Start early, do your research, take the necessary steps to get to where it is you want to be. Think
Okay.
about the bigger picture. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be good days, bad days.
Right.
But you have to flow with it, and
Yeah.
you cannot give up.
Okay. How do we educate them on the business side of it? Columbus is considered one of the easiest states to start a business. One of the most business friendly states. I recently was involved with the Chamber of Commerce, where they were talking about within the black community, the fastest growing demographic for businesses is the black woman. But you see a lot of one person businesses. You see businesses that start and then businesses fail. How do you overcome that though? You said 19 states.
Yes.
There's only 50 states in the union. You almost halfway there. Like, how did you do that? How did that? I want to get into that. How did that happen? How did you go from Columbus, Georgia, to 18 other states? How did you do that?
Definitely a lot of work, a lot of research, getting out there. You know, you got to do foot to pavement. You can't just stay behind, your laptop or your phone promoting. You have to market. There's a system.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resources out there. I would say I did a lot of trial and error, but I would say to make sure that you speak with a business coach or a mentor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, as the director had mentioned at the top of the show, he said the lipstick is popping.
Yes.
Okay. So let's do a shameless plug, as my friend who's coming up on part 2, Mr. Luke Melton, would tell you, a shameless plug. How can people find your product? How can they follow you? How can they support what you're doing? Talk about your social media, your websites, phone numbers, all those good things.
All right.
Don't give nobody no phone number, because some of these brothers out here might be a little thirsty.
Yeah,
They might be
exactly.
calling you later.
No, we can't have all that. Okay. Business purposes only.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
You can find me basically Tabitha Lawhorn.
Okay.
Is my personal on all platforms. TABITHALAWHORN. That's personal on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And then Tabs Cosmetics. That's business on all platforms. TABZCOSMETICS.
Okay.
And then if you want to order, visit tabscosmetics.com.
Tabscosmetics.com.
Tabs with a Z, TABZ.
Okay. All right.
Cosmetics.com.
Okay. Do you have a lipstick line called Trouble with the Law? Do you have anything like that?
Trouble with the Law.
Trouble with the law. For the couples, the Valentine's Day night couples. They, what I'm saying, they want to get hot and spicy. I'm looking at somebody in the studio with me. She might want to wear Trouble with the Law. You know what I'm saying? A brother knows what's about to go down when you got on Trouble with the. I'm giving you an idea. You see what I'm saying? I'm giving you an idea, and I ain't gonna charge you for it. I'm just.
Look, the lipsticks, they're like flavors. You know what I'm saying?
They like
I got
flavors,
the strawberry
okay.
shortcake and
Okay, they like
peaches
that.
and
Yeah.
cream. That's sexy.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be toxic. I like Trouble with the Law.
Well, let me develop something specifically for you and yours, sir. My good.
Trouble with the Law sound like handcuffs and restraints. Come on, somebody.
Yes.
All right, so look, we don't have a whole lot of time left. I know you got to get ready to get up out of here, but I want to talk about something that I saw.
Yeah.
It is a reality show,
Yes.
and it's called The Real Entrepreneur.
The Real Entrepreneur.
How did that come about? Is that something you started? Were you hired to be a part of that? Tell me all about The Real Entrepreneur and how we can watch that as well.
I actually was tagged to it. It was a casting call.
Nice.
And I had a few people tag me.
Okay.
I was like, okay, well, why not? So I ended up going to the audition.
Okay.
I did my green screen audition and all of that.
How did that go? Talk about.
Jesus.
Talk about that. It wasn't no casting couch issues, was there? It wasn't nothing like that. I hope
Man,
not.
I
But
was
tell me about it.
nervous.
Okay.
I was so nervous. But,
Okay.
I was like, you know what? Stop. Just be yourself. What do you mean? I have to have my little talks
Right.
to myself on a date, my little affirmations.
Yeah.
But
I like it. I like that. I like it.
yes, but I went in and they asked questions, business related questions. I answered to the best of my ability.
Right.
And probably about a week later, I got an email saying that I was, I was picked.
He was picked.
I was picked.
Wow. So is there a lot of divas on this? Is this females, males? Tell me about The Real Entrepreneur.
I want to say was it 7 females, 3 males?
Okay.
Yes. And we were all basically in a house.
Okay.
Competition.
Okay.
Type deal. We're all different personalities. We don't know each other from Adam's House Cat. I did know one cast member though.
Okay.
I take that back. But outside of that, dealing with the personalities and stuff like that was very, very different. For me.
Okay.
So,
Okay. You find people trying to show out for TV or act outside of who they really are just because the camera is on?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Indeed, yes.
Okay. So the competitive aspect of the television show, is there a winner? Is it based on sales, or how does that competition work? If you can reveal that, I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's a $25,000 cash investment into your business, or if you want an upcoming business you're trying to open.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you get $75K worth of resources as well to help you and everything you need to do behind the scenes with your business. So
now, has your social media following grown since your appearance on the Real Entrepreneur? Has that?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's a part of it. A lot of people don't really understand in this social media space, like how important that can be, especially when you can take views, likes, clicks, and all that, and transfer that to actual support for a business.
Absolutely.
So I think that is awesome. And Tab, again, I want to thank you though for stopping by. We got the rain playing in the background. Nice little soundtrack that we decided to add to today's podcast. I think it gives a nice little sentimental touch and all of that for those that are sitting at home with nothing else to do. Just tune on in to the Purpose Podcast. I'm about to bring my director back up here to the microphone as we get ready to move into the break. But I want to thank you, Tab. I'm gonna give you a little round of applause because I'm grateful for you being here. Yes, indeed. Come on, somebody, put your hands together. Don't act like, come on, don't do that. Act like we applauding for you. Make some noise, y'all. Y'all give it up.
Yes.
For Tabitha Lawhorn.
Tabitha, it's Lawhorn, not Longhorn. It's Lawhorn. Hey, now I want to do a quick disclaimer.
Yes, sir.
And I know we were talking to Tabitha. She was telling us about her business and stuff she's doing. Let me explain that we are not trying to promote anybody's business, any individual thing. Right. The name of this podcast is The Purpose. My vision is that I want people that has a purpose. And I want them to talk about their purpose because I believe that the more people listen to people that are positive, we are going to spread positivity.
Right.
We often talk about our quote, and I have another quote. People talk about beauty. And you do beauty. You know beauty. And if you don't see any beauty, if there ain't no beauty,
right,
then you got to create beauty.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's my quote today. If there ain't no beauty, you got to create it.
You've got to create it.
We're going to create and spread beauty all over the world. Okay.
Right, I love it.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, that message again was presented by none other than Reverend Michael King.
Okay. Don't go nowhere.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
be right back with more of the Purpose Podcast.
Thank you.
Some say e-cigarettes aren't dangerous,
But science shows nicotine can harm teens' developing brains.
no matter how they're exposed.
Let's do an experiment to find out.
Here's a teen who won't be using e-cigarettes.
Now we need one willing to risk their brain development.
Anyone care to volunteer your kid?
Anyone?
I'm Dr. Vivek Murthy, U.S. Surgeon General. Your kids are not an experiment. Protect them from e-cigarettes.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. And our second guest today is Mr. Lucas Melton. And we're going to talk about the event that took place and what all the things that happened, and let him give us a rundown of that particular event and the next event that's going to come up.
Oh, most definitely. So, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, black man taking no losses. This predates the current Kendrick Lamar stuff. So, he's one of my favorite poets of all time. And it just represented black men coming together to align around issues that are relevant to us in a way that's relevant to us, sharing, talking, expressing, visualizing for the future, sharing experiences that brought us all to that point.
Yeah.
I think through connectivity and through that vulnerability of expressing and sharing is how human energy really spreads. So, I had a lot of bosses in the room, a lot of, Mike Kings, a lot of Chris Kellys, a lot of, organizational heads and elected officials and candidates. And those type of grass tops coalitions are very, very important to systemic change that reaches the ground level, the community level. Yeah. So I think we laid the foundation for something very, very powerful.
So that Black Male Initiative, when exactly did that take place? When was that?
Well, the Black Male Initiative was actually founded this year.
Okay.
By actually a mentor of mine, Mr. John Taylor, based in Atlanta.
Okay.
And the way politics work, identity politics is taking over the world that we're in.
Right.
So somebody somewhere said we need to turn on the faucet and make sure that more black males are engaged in this next election. So hence this initiative that has spread throughout the state of Georgia and other initiatives just like it that have spread throughout the country.
Okay.
It's really an answer from the side of people who just want to see people's voices taken seriously, saying, hold on, let's make sure everybody's voice is heard.
Yeah.
So the Black Male Initiative is an attempt to make sure that black male voices are heard, so that when it comes to the electoral process, we're not just figures in the voting booth, but we're people that have issues in an organized fashion that can hold elected officials accountable.
Yeah. Now, when will the next Black Male Initiative be? When are you thinking about coordinating that?
Yeah, and this is just a little bit of a spoiler, but I plan to take that group of men and that group of people and create a coalition that can do on the ground work and can mobilize at the grassroots level, taking it past just that event level.
Yeah.
So the next event will probably be more so, joggers on, pizza in the middle of the room, chart paper.
Okay.
More so, like training and actually talking about how to identify self-interest and how to build coalitions and going through those skills of one-on-ones and building leaders and things like that. So I have a lot planned when it comes to that aspect because at the end of the day, a lot of brothers came to me and they said, I don't like to just talk with me either, right? And I'm a little bit different breed of the normal Columbus, Georgia leader because I have made my bones when it comes to grassroots organizing, and I was one of those young radicals back during the Trayvon Martin movement. Yeah. So I do see it a lot differently when it comes to the people and the power that we have. So for next is come together, get organized, use our leadership ability and our influence to reach our people and to get the message out.
Now, Mike, you were there, and thanks for answering that question, by the way. I appreciate that, because I was there, you were there. I brought my fiance out, my son. It was just awesome. I really felt like everybody that was in that room was supposed to be there and was able to lend their voice. I love how you opened it up. It wasn't just those on the dais, those on the platform, as it were.
Right.
But you had others in the room that felt a part of what we were doing. There was some young men that were there as well.
Most definitely.
Seeing what we were doing. Mike, you were there. What was your opinion? What was your best takeaway from the Black Male Initiative that we participated in on last Friday?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate this young man for having this vision.
Yes, sir.
I mean, people without vision will perish. And sometimes when you have a vision, all you got to do is start talking about it, speak it into existence.
Yep.
Now, I was very impressed by the group of men that were there. Everybody had an opinion, and sometimes it may not be, it could be different, but it's like gumbo. It's a mixture of a lot of stuff, and it's good when it's at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think what we did was like gumbo. It was very good. We had a lot of different opinions, and I believe that this thing is going to grow. I think you're building something that is going to be very positive, and I just want to support you. As we were speaking earlier, everybody can't be the quarterback. Brother, you got a good arm.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate
Throw
you.
that
Yes,
thing.
sir.
Throw it.
I appreciate you.
I don't mind blocking for you.
That's a great analogy.
I don't mind blocking for you. So we just want to win. It's time for us to start winning.
Yeah.
So whatever we need to do, if we got young people that are willing to step up to the plate, let's stop being negative. Let's stop telling them what they don't know. Let's give them the opportunity to lead. Let's give them the tools they need to lead. Let's give them our knowledge. Let's give them our experience, but move out of the way.
Right.
So that's pretty much the way I'm looking at it, and I'm rooting for you. I'm cheering for you, and whatever I can do to assist, I can lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way.
And but you know what though, Mike, you said something so amazing, man, because we're all athletes, here behind these microphones. We participated in sports, all those things. We enjoy watching it at least.
Right.
And I love, and it wasn't wordplay, it came from your heart, but I love what you said. You didn't say, I'm just going to block you. You said I'm going to block for you. That is the key, because we know, and that's one of the things that somebody mentioned, not in such eloquence, but somebody mentioned before on a podcast that I was watching about African Americans, etc., people in general working together. Right. I mean, we're all a part of this human experience, and I think we forget that. We are so divided. We're so divided. And like you said, Mike, when we were talking about the Purpose podcast, we want to highlight individuals that are positive, organizations that are positive, great things that are going on in this community and beyond. And you're one of those points of light that we talked about a few weeks ago when we had you on the podcast, and we were talking about the Black Male Initiative, making sure that we take accountability for how we respond to the positive points of light in our community. Is it with jealousy or is it with excitement? Like he said, look, hey, you don't got to throw me the ball.
Right.
I'm not going to be one of those diva wide receivers out there saying, I only got 2 touches today. I got to get my numbers up. You know, I don't care if we lose. As long as I got mine, I'm good. There's too much of that in our community, where it's like, hey, you know what? I see them struggling on the south end of town, but I'm out here in the suburbs, so I'm good. It doesn't bother me because it hasn't touched me yet. But when we say to ourselves, no matter where I live, no matter my station in life, the struggle of us touches all of us. And when I look around the room and I see a Mike King, when I saw others who I won't name right now in that room, I said, you know what, man, this is truly a coalition. It's not just a bunch of young guys or a bunch of so-called old heads. It was a mixed multitude of people who decided to represent that night. And it's not about numbers. One of the things you said was like, hey, man, I had to trick y'all to get y'all to come out today so we could begin this process.
Because I would have, planned a boring meeting at the library at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. We're going to talk about some boring stuff. And I think that just my ministry, my message is to Black people and the Black families, and especially Black men, the leader of these Black families, is that money isn't enough.
Right.
If you look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the Black Wall Street riots, that was one of the largest economies in the world. Not just America, but the world. But in the early 1900s, Black people could not vote. So we didn't have a voice. So that means that law enforcement could be used to brutalize us, destroy us, eradicate us. The wealth we built was taken. Why? Because we didn't have political power. And I see us as a people in a renaissance. Brothers getting their credit lines right. We learning how to, use stocks.
She helping me out with that.
There you go. There you go. And it's like we in this like another roaring 20s, if you will. And I don't want us to repeat the past inadvertently and forfeit the political power that we have right now because it manifests as success, right? But it starts as the energy of consciousness and being able to actually say, this is what we need to do to make sure that we stay in power first. Or if not, you can have the largest economy in the world and have it wiped out. Because you're pretty much behind enemy lines. And that's where I see us right now. And I love to see young brothers go out there and get their bag and run the bag up and get money and buy their mama a house. But at the same time, we cannot act as if we don't need to come together and be responsible for our communities and the future of our communities all the way down to the molecular level, who's being elected and what they stand for.
You said that's something so true, brother. You said responsibility.
Yes.
We have to get away, and Mike, I want you to come in and take us home, but we've got to get away from blaming others. I didn't hear a bunch of sorry excuses in one of the biggest movements in world history, and that was the civil rights movement. I didn't hear, and I want that to be a segue, Mike, and I want you to take it from there, because you were a young man, obviously, during that time. You were coming up and through the 60s and 70s when we weren't making excuses. At one of the most politically charged, racially charged times, yet and still we weren't making excuses. And I think that's kind of what you're getting back to, saying, hey, we're not here to blame anybody. But ourselves. It starts with us. Because if you truly believe that you're as great as we like to carry ourselves, with the clothes that we wear and the swag and all of that, then we should act like it when it comes to taking responsibility and accountability. Mike, help me out, though. During that time period, did you hear excuses, or was it like he was saying, joggers on, solution based, we sitting around in a circle saying, hey, we're not leaving this room until we come up with 10 points? You mentioned that during that session. Can you talk about that a little bit?
One of the things that I talked about was strategy.
Yes.
How during that particular era, Dr. King and his people strategized their movements. Now, there were haters out there. There were people saying, oh, he's going to bring a lot of problems to us poor colored people. But in most part, people realized that if we didn't get together and come up with, first and foremost, the Montgomery bus boycott, they came up with a list of demands that they wanted.
Right.
They sacrificed to
Right.
walk, to get to work however way they could, and not ride the bus.
Most
Well,
definitely.
in the beginning, the bus drivers in the city said, they'll be here in another week. Well, within a month, they wasn't there. And they realized that African Americans were their biggest customers.
Right.
After 3 months, they said, oh, we're losing money. After 6 months, oh, we got to lay some people off. That one is, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm going to lose my job. So within a year, they realized that they lost that battle. It all came from a strategy.
Yep.
And when I talk about strategy, one of the things that the vision that I had with this podcast, and we came up with the name The Purpose, is to have purpose-driven people on here so we can explain our purpose. Hopefully that will become contagious.
Yeah.
We're trying to create something that's going to spread around, and if you don't have a purpose, I promise you, God gave you a purpose.
Yeah.
God gave you a purpose.
Yes.
You just have to reach within your heart and find out what it is.
Yeah.
Getting back to what you were talking about earlier, we mentioned the fact that when I first met you, I knew you had a vision. And I wanted to get with you and talk about that and see what we could do to help get that particular vision out there. And I think we're doing it right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to work with you with other projects. Hopefully, you're going to do another male initiative program. And when we talk about the Black Male Initiative, this is not just Black Male Initiative. We're trying to get Black males to stand up and be accountable. But this is for females, this is for white, this is for brown, this is for all types
All
of people. Because what is good for one Columbus, it's good for everybody. And we're trying to make Columbus a better place.
Yeah.
So we're just going to continue to push this initiative and make sure that we can promote this as best we can.
Most definitely.
And Mike, that
you,
is
Mike.
such a beautiful way to really button that up, because again, everything that we do is driving towards accountability, making sure that we are responsible for this Columbus.
Absolutely.
And making sure, like you're saying, Luke, we have to focus on. I had one man tell me, he said, listen, I have to be the pastor of my own house before I try to look to build a congregation outside of it.
Absolutely.
And so what you're doing is saying, hey, those that are closest to me, which happen to be Black and brown or what have you, I'm going to touch them. But with the platform that this podcast has offered us, we can reach every segment of this community: Black, brown, white, green, pink, yellow, male, female, et cetera, et cetera. And towards that end, there's another young man that decided to stop by the studio today and hang out with us. He's just been sitting back, waiting in the wings, just waiting for an opportunity to throw on a pair of headphones, hop on the microphone. But he's been doing his thing in radio for years, probably north of a decade. Movies, radio, television, podcasting. He has a very hot podcast called, appropriately, The Hot Seat, right here in Columbus. And he stopped by. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give a round of applause for being here today. He is to Lucas Melton's left. His name is Mr. E.J. Thomas.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
Greetings, brother.
All right, all right.
Yeah. Welcome, my brother.
Yes, man, we're so glad you dropped by. And EJ came in actually last week, and I sort of explained to him what we were doing. And I had a vision of doing some stuff, but I wanted to include a lot of other people's opinions in terms of what we could do to make this better. And I'm just so proud of your accomplishments so far. And there's another brother with a purpose. We're not here to promote his business or anything like that. We want to talk about his purpose. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done and what you're planning on doing.
Well, first of all, I am E.J. Thomas. I'm called Mr. Conversation. I used to work for K92.7, and I've done radio for different places in Atlanta for about like the last 10 years, podcasting and other things. What I like to do is I like to use my voice to push out certain issues that a lot of people don't pay attention to. I do controversial statements, and then I bring it back after the initial controversial statement, and then I let them know like what's going on. And I like to do that. To, be a little controversial, but have the conversation that a lot of people won't have. And whether it's fatherhood rights, whether it's relationships, all different types of stuff, politics, whatever it is, I try to stay as knowledgeable as possible and to give my voice to help other people.
Well, I'll tell you, man, it's so nice to have you here. Your voice is very important. And we want to include you at the table here today. And hopefully you'll be back some other times. And whatever we could do to talk about, maybe we'll be a guest on your show. We don't know.
Ain't no problem.
But it's all about us coming together.
Right.
We're not competing. We're coming together. We're coming together to try to help solve some issues and some problems. And I look at you guys. Y'all are younger, so I'm almost ready to pass the torch. But I want to be here to see your success. Yeah. And I have prophesied this. I see all you guys being successful. Yeah. So I want to be here to see this. And I just want to just continue to praise what you're doing and do whatever I can to add whatever advice I can give you in terms of being in this business. And if nothing else, as I said earlier, I could lead, I could follow, or I'll get the hell out of the way.
No, and that is a blessing, Mike, because I feel like in these early episodes of this new podcast, it is essential that I establish the story and the narrative that is so true as to how we got here. And number one, it didn't start with me. So I say we, but I came late into your vision. But this is something that, as you have told me time and time again, and you actually told me before we started today, was that you wrote the vision.
Absolutely.
They asked you what you wanted. You drew this thing out back in 08.
08. I was talking about this in 2008. I drew the studio. I didn't know we were going to get it.
Yeah.
But I like to, I'm not an artist, but I draw my vision sometimes. I write it down, I draw it, and I'm a believer in if you speak something, it will, The Secret, y'all know the book, The Secret. Yep. All you got to do is speak it, and it will go into fruition. The God will start moving.
Yeah, absolutely.
God not only move, He can remove.
Yeah. All right.
So if there are any, I don't believe in, Lord, you could, if you don't move my mountain, give me the strength to climb. No, my prayers already always, mountain move.
Yeah, he said that you can speak to the mountain.
Move, mountain.
And say,
move.
Yeah.
So we don't have, this is place, there ain't no mountains here.
Yeah.
So everything that we do is straightforward. So we're going to go straight forward. Yeah. And again, my vision is your visions. You'll be surprised. The vision I have, God had put that in your minds too.
Sure
and
did.
It's no coincidence that we all came together. We're here together for a divine purpose, and that is to move forward with the visions that we have and help each other out.
Yeah, and there's so much great going on in Columbus, and I just and I know we're bringing you on towards the end of today's episode of The Purpose, but EJ, as we mentioned in just a quick rundown of your bio, if you can just let the audience know what inspired you to get into this space, what motivated you, what gave you that drive to say, my voice, as Mike just said, matters.
Because I was always the guy when I was a kid that just talked and got in trouble for it.
Okay.
I want to get paid for it.
Right.
Got in trouble for it all my life. And so, let me find some way to, use my voice for being positive in the community.
Wow.
One of the things I wanted to say is, and it matches with what all you guys are saying, with working together, I think one of the things that we miss sometimes is we have to work on ourselves first. Introspection is one of the most important things. So I ask questions like, what would you tell your child self? What advice would you give? And that's to kind of see the growth that you have made.
Right.
And so you can look at your journey and see where do you want to go next?
Yeah.
Or even ask yourself why you haven't reached the places that you want to go.
Right.
Most of the time we have some blocks, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, that is keeping us from it. So how do we reach that next precipice?
Yeah.
And in order to get it, sometimes for me, it was learning that I don't have to do everything by myself.
Yeah. Wow.
Shout out to Doug, my producer over there. You know what I'm saying? Joining with him and becoming a team has helped me to become a better team player and learn that, working with others, can get you where you need to get. You know what I'm saying? Be humble sometimes. Sit back, learn some things. So that was one of my biggest issues. If I could tell myself when I was 18 years old, hey, look, you ain't got to do it all by yourself, bro.
Right. And you don't have to do it all right now. Yeah. See, I like that you just said that, because one of the things that Luke pointed out, and I know we got to wrap up, Mike, but the Black Male Initiative last Friday, you were talking about, coalition, cooperation, working together, teamwork. All of that speaks to what you just said. I can't do it all by myself. I can come out here and jack up 50 shots and score 60, but if the other team scores 62, maybe I should have passed the ball to somebody else on my team. Right. And that's what you're talking about. And I think, though, as men, and this is colorless, because as men, we have decided, I got to do it all by myself. I'm going to get it done, as opposed to leaning on our teammate. Luke, how do you believe, as we wrap up, how do you believe what he said applies to the vision of your organization and moving that forward?
Oh, man, so many different ways. First, when it comes to being quote-unquote controversial, sometimes things need to be said to make people feel uncomfortable, because what's more uncomfortable than that statement is the conditions people are living in. So sometimes you need to say things that make people feel uncomfortable. And
to wake them up to the reality.
Then from a more, I guess, finite standpoint, when it comes to organizing coalitions and campaigns, in the world we living in right now, brothers like this, multimedia brothers that have a reach and a following and know how to take a message and push it out. That's how information is getting around.
Absolutely.
A lot of the stuff you've seen on social media and stuff like that, it started from just 10 seconds of talking to a guy like that.
And so I try to ban TikTok right now.
Most definitely, most definitely. And for me, and that's just part of what Mozzie does, is it brings together voices, influencers, young people, black and brown, to come together to have that voice. So people like this with influence in the multimedia world are very, very important in what we do, because they are the messengers of this generation.
Wow, that's awesome. Mike, as always, what we normally do, we let you close it out with a word of inspiration, word of the week for our listeners, and to us young fellas, us young ladies that are coming behind you.
Well, and I said my word of the week earlier. And man, what you guys are saying is so profound. You know, I try to surround myself with people that are much younger than I am, because I believe that there are, you know, just like Moses, he was somebody that God had planted. There's somebody else that's coming along that's going to take us to another direction. So we just got to be open. We got to be open to people. We got to be open to people. When you came in, and I didn't know you from Adam. You told me who you were, and it's just something about you that it's like, okay, well, why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? Then when you came here, we wasn't really prepared. I didn't know what you were. I don't think you were prepared to come and be on the show, but
I'm always, just to let you know.
Just like a good minister, you got a sermon in your back pocket.
Yes, sir.
He got a ready message, man.
But again, my spirit spoke to me and say, let this brother come up, because he got something to say, and I'm not going to deny you of your message. And this ain't gonna be the first time. Definitely not gonna be the first time for you. Well, getting back to my quote of the day, what I said earlier, you know, we talk about beauty all around us. We see beauty, and we see a lot of ugly stuff. And if you don't see no beauty, you got to make some beauty. You got to make some beauty. So what we want to do, people, everybody listen to this podcast, let's get out there and make some beauty. Let's make some beauty.
That's awesome.
With that being said, hit my music. Hey, thank you for joining us here on today's podcast. This is The Purpose, and we will see you next time.